My child, stop and listen carefully, because what you are about to receive is not a casual word. It carries heaven's authority, and it carries divine timing. Something tried to keep it from reaching you today. A distraction, a heaviness, a reason to keep scrolling past and never hear it. But you paused, you stayed, and most people would have already moved on by now. You did not, my child, and that was not an accident. I brought you here myself, and I did not bring you here only to be comforted. I brought you here because something in your life is obstructed, and I love you too much to pretend it is not there. This word carries weight, my beloved. It carries urgency, and it carries consequence if you brush it aside. I am not speaking to you today to give you one more thing to feel and then forget. I am speaking to interrupt a cycle that has cost you enough already. So many voices are speaking in this hour, and so few people are truly listening. My child, so many want to be seen, and so few are willing to endure the refining that turns faith into real light. That is part of why you were chosen. Not because you are without flaws, but because you are willing to be used. You have carried truth quietly, guarding it like a treasure you did not fully understand yet. When doors closed, you did not grow bitter. You waited, you trusted, you listened for my direction. My beloved, that waiting shaped you, and that restraint strengthened you. For it is written, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him." Psalm 37:7. But the season of stillness has done its work, my child, and now the story is moving forward. And this moment is not asking you to wait any longer. It is asking you to move. Hear me plainly, my beloved, because I am not going to soften this. I will not move you forward in the direction you keep praying for until one matter is faced and answered. There is a reason your prayers have felt delayed. There is a reason certain doors have stayed closed even though you have been faithful. There is a reason you keep returning to the same place, the same pattern, the same cycle, as if you are circling the same mountain again and again. It is not because I have forgotten you. It is because there is a step I have already asked of you, and I am waiting to see whether you trust me enough to take it. I have been observing the small things in you, my beloved, more closely than you know. I saw how you forgive faster than most people expect. I saw how you carry a sorrow that does not even belong to you, feeling the weight of others as though it were your own. I saw how you kept doing the right thing in the seasons when obedience brought you no recognition at all. Those moments were not random. They were preparation disguised as ordinary life. You thought you were being delayed, my child. You were being trained. The path began to narrow, not to punish you, but to focus you. What felt like a series of closed doors was not a string of refusals. It was a series of redirections. The wide roads offered you options, applause, and easy escape routes. But they also scattered your attention and thinned your resolve. So I led you down a tighter road, one where pride cannot survive and obedience becomes the only thing that fits. That is where faith is shaped, and you did not know it. But everything in you has been narrowing toward this single moment. The moment you finally take the step you already know I asked of you. Do not confuse my pause with my absence, my child. I have not gone silent. I am waiting, and I am not withholding help because I am angry with you. I am withholding help because I am guarding alignment. There is an act of obedience you have postponed because it feels costly or inconvenient or risky or humiliating. And today I am saying to you, with plainness and without negotiation, I will not move you forward until you do what I already told you to do. And I am asking you to do it now. If something in your chest tightened as I said that, my beloved, if a quiet heaviness settled over you, do not push it away. That is not condemnation. That is your own spirit recognizing the exact thing I am about to name. So let me hear your agreement. Type, "I feel what God is pointing to." When you type it, you are not leaving a comment. You are saying yes to me before you have even seen the outcome, and that yes is the beginning of everything. This is the part many people do not want to hear, my child, because the heart prefers blessing without surrender and promise without responsibility. You want my hand without my order, but heaven does not move by sympathy. Heaven moves by alignment. The moment you do what I have been asking, help is released. Strength follows obedience, Direction follows surrender. Peace follows agreement. But until then, I pause, not to punish you, but to protect the very thing you have been praying for. I refuse to accelerate you into a future that your current disobedience would quietly destroy. Stay close to me, my beloved. Follow this voice and subscribe, not to a channel alone, but to a steady flow of words I am using to keep your spirit awake and honest in a world that will talk you out of obedience if you let it. There are words coming that are meant for exactly where you are standing, and I do not want you to miss a single one of them. Let me tell you why this is actually good news, my child. My help is often conditional, and that truth is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to empower you. Conditional does not mean I am cruel. It does not mean I am distant. It means I have invited you into partnership. I refuse to treat you like a spectator in your own transformation, because involvement produces maturity, participation produces ownership, and ownership produces strength. I have always made this principle known, for it is written, if you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Isaiah 1:19. Notice the order, my beloved, willing and obedient, not willing alone, not emotional agreement alone. Obedience is the bridge between what I promised and what you experience. Hear me carefully, my child, because this is not about earning my love. You were loved before you ever obeyed, and nothing you do could make me love you more than I already do. This is not about earning, it is about positioning. When you take a step, I meet it with grace. When you obey, I supply the strength. When you align, the resistance breaks. Motion invites manifestation. I do not override your will, my beloved, because I am relational, and I honor the partnership I established with you. Many people want my intervention while refusing my alignment. They ask me to shift their circumstances, but they refuse to shift their posture. They want me to open doors while they keep their hands closed tight around the very thing I told them to release. My child, they want me to speak again while they ignore what I already said, but I will not shout over my own instruction. I gave you a word, and I am waiting. Not because I am weak, but because I honor you enough to wait for your yes. Many desire the good of the land while resisting the willing and obedient road that leads there. But my kingdom does not run on wishing. Beloved, it runs on agreement expressed through action. For it is written, without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him. Hebrews 11:6. The faith that pleases me is not passive, my child. It seeks, it moves, it responds. It steps forward even when the result is not yet visible. Wishing sits and hopes. Faith stands and moves. Wishing asks for change while remaining the same. Faith obeys before it sees. Type the pause was protection, not punishment. Do not misread my silence, my beloved. Silence does not always mean I have abandoned you. Often silence means the instruction has already been delivered, and I am waiting to see if you will trust it enough to act. I can speak one sentence that carries enough power to change your entire life. But if you delay obedience, you delay the fruit of that sentence. What you have been waiting for may already be waiting on you. Prayer is powerful, my child, but prayer without obedience is incomplete. Prayer aligns your heart. Obedience aligns your life. Many pray with tears while resisting the very instruction that would unlock the answer they are asking for. I hear prayer, yes, but I also watch response. Some doors will not open through prayer alone. Not because prayer is weak, but because those doors were designed to respond to action. They are locked by hesitation and opened by obedience, and I want you to feel the hope buried in that, my child, not the pressure. If your breakthrough is locked by hesitation and opened by obedience, then you are not powerless, and you are not stuck at the mercy of forces you cannot touch. Your response matters. Your movement counts. You are not waiting on a distant God who has forgotten your name. You are one act of agreement away from a door I have already prepared. My beloved, the reason certain people stay in the same place for years is not that I stopped loving them or stopped hearing them. It is that a step was required, and the step was never taken. So let this land as freedom and not as fear. The very fact that your breakthrough responds to your obedience means the key has been in your hand this whole time. I placed it there, and today I am asking you to finally use it. Type, "I will obey" before I see, my child. Before I show you what your obedience unlocks, I want you to reach beyond yourself for a moment. Somewhere near you there is a soul circling their own mountain, praying and praying while heaven waits on a step they have not yet taken, convinced that they have been forgotten. Sow a seed in their name today, not because you are required to, but because your spirit already knows the breakthrough I am describing is real, and you want it released over them too. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen. Let your giving be an intercession for someone who cannot yet see that the door is only one obedience away. I see the name that just rose in your heart, my child, and I see the seed you sow for them. Let me tell you about a chosen one, so you can see this pattern with your own eyes. This person prayed for a breakthrough in their career for 4 years. 4 years of fasting, 4 years of declarations, 4 years of standing on promises. They applied, they worked hard, and every door stayed shut. My child, every opportunity fell through at the last moment. One night in prayer I spoke clearly. Forgive your former employer, the one who betrayed you, the one who took credit for your work, the one who cost you that promotion. And this chosen one said, "You do not understand what they did to me. I will pray for them from a distance, but forgive them fully. That feels impossible." 2 more years passed, 2 more years of closed doors, of frustration and confusion, until finally they obeyed. My beloved, they released the bitterness. They chose forgiveness, not because the person deserved it, but because I required it. And within 3 weeks, an opportunity appeared that was not even on their radar. A position they never applied for. A door they did not know existed, and it opened without struggle. Do you see the pattern, my beloved? I was not punishing them for 6 years. I was protecting them. If that door had opened while unforgiveness was still poisoning their heart, they would have carried that poison into the new season, and it would have destroyed the very thing I was giving them. I do not just hand you what you ask for. I give you what you are ready to steward, and sometimes what you are asking for requires something in you to shift first. The breakthrough was already prepared. It was only ever locked behind obedience. Type, "My breakthrough is locked behind my obedience." And I want you to hear what that story is really telling you, my beloved, because you have been reading your own delay the wrong way. You looked at the years of closed doors and concluded that something must be wrong with you, that your faith was not strong enough, that you had been overlooked. But I do not measure the way you measure. I heard every prayer in those years. Not one of them was wasted. They were aligning your heart even while your life stayed still, because I refuse to give an overflowing gift to a heart that is not yet ready to steward it. An inheritance handed to a person before they are formed to carry it does not bless them, my child. It overwhelms them. So the gap between the promise and the arrival was never my reluctance. It was the completion of an inner alignment that had to finish before the outer door could open. And here is the mercy hidden in that. The alignment completes on the inside before it ever appears on the outside. So if something in you right now is beginning to soften toward the very instruction you have been resisting, that softening is not weakness. It is the sign that the alignment is nearly complete and the door is about to give way. Stay with me a little longer, my child, because this next part belongs to the ones who did not walk away. Follow and subscribe, so this voice can keep reaching you, because what I am releasing in the days ahead is for those who stay long enough to hear the whole truth and act on it. Now I must expose the one who has been working against you inside this delay, because you have blamed yourself long enough, and some of the weight you have carried was never only yours. There was an enemy in this season, and he was not passive. He studied the breakthrough I prepared for you, and he learned that he could not cancel it because I had already prepared it. So he did the only thing he could do. He tried to keep it locked, and the lock he chose was your own hesitation. He could not change my instruction, so he worked to make you misread it. He made forgiveness feel like weakness, so you would keep holding the offense. He made letting go feel like loss, so you would keep gripping what I told you to release. He made the step feel like humiliation, so you would keep negotiating instead of obeying. He whispered that I was being cruel, that the instruction was unfair, that surely I could not be asking this of you, and every time you believed him, the door stayed shut one more day. But I am exposing his scheme now before the courts of heaven, so it loses its power over you. The delay was never my reluctance, it was his lock, and your hesitation was the only key he had. The moment you obey, his lock falls off, because it was never strong. It only borrowed its strength from your delay. Understand his strategy fully, so it never works on you again. He never fights the ones who will not move, because they are no threat to his kingdom. He reserves his fiercest resistance for the ones whose obedience would break something open. The intensity of the pressure you have felt around this one instruction was never proof that you were on the wrong path. It was proof that you were standing on the exact thing he most needed you to leave undone. He whispered that the delay was your fault. Then he whispered that it was my cruelty, and he did not care which lie you believed as long as you kept standing still. But you are not standing still any longer, and every accusation he spoke over you in the dark is being answered now in the light. For it is written, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Isaiah 54:17. The lie that named my instruction cruel is answered, for it is written, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will roll back on the one who starts it rolling." Proverbs 26:27. The trap he set to keep you circling now waits beneath his own feet, and the whole delay he engineered has already been turned against him. For it is written, "What they meant for evil God meant for good, to bring about the saving of many lives." Genesis 50:20. Every year the enemy stole through your hesitation became a year I used to prepare you to hold what is coming without being destroyed by it. He meant to keep you stuck. He was only ever setting the stage for a sudden release. Type, "The enemy cannot lock what I obey." Now let me show you what obedience has always looked like in my kingdom, so you know you are not being asked for something new, my child. Consider Abraham. I told him to leave his country, his family, and his father's house, and go to a land I would show him later. For it is written, "The Lord said to Abram, Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you." Genesis 12:1. Notice what I did not give him, my child. I did not give him a map. I did not give him a timeline. I did not give him guarantees of safety or success. I gave him a command and a promise, and he had to decide whether the command was enough, even without seeing the outcome. For it is written, "By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going." Hebrews 11:8. He went out not knowing. That is the test of obedience, my beloved. Not clarity, not certainty. Trust strong enough to move in the dark. And notice, my beloved, that Abraham did not wait until the journey made sense before he moved. He did not wait until he had every answer. He did not wait until the fear subsided. He obeyed while the questions were still loud, while the risk was still real, while every reasonable voice around him surely told him it was foolish to leave everything familiar for a land he could not even see. And that single act of obedience shaped nations. It became the doorway to a promise so large that you and I are still speaking of it today. Now hear this, and let it undo the guilt you have carried. My child, if Abraham had demanded certainty first, the promise would have been delayed, perhaps for the rest of his life. The obedience came first. The blessing came after. It has always worked in that order, and it works in that order for you. You may be standing exactly where Abraham stood. I have given you a word. You know what I said. But the outcome is not clear. The path is not mapped. The details are not filled in. And so you wait, and you hesitate, and you say, "Give me more clarity, and then I will move." But I am saying to you, move, and clarity will follow. Obedience is not agreement after you understand. Obedience is movement before you see, and hear this, my child, because it is the thing most people miss. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. Partial obedience is still resistance. Obedience with conditions attached is still a form of saying no. I do not negotiate my instructions. I give them, and I watch to see if you trust me enough to follow them, even when they cost you something. Let me take you to the edge of the Red Sea because you have been standing at your own version of it. Beloved, the people I brought out of Egypt stood trapped. Pharaoh's army was charging in behind them. The sea stretched in front of them, with no bridge, no boat, no visible way forward, and they panicked. "My beloved," they cried out, "were there not enough graves in Egypt, that you brought us here to die? For it is written," they said to Moses, "is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness?" Exodus 14:11. Fear was screaming, logic was screaming, and then I spoke, and I did not say, "Stand still and watch me part the sea while you wait comfortably on the shore." For it is written, the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel to go forward." Exodus 14:15. Go forward into the water. Before the water moved, before the path appeared, before the miracle became visible. And they went, my beloved. They did not walk on dry ground first. They walked into the water, and as they walked, the sea parted, and the ground became dry beneath their feet. For it is written, by faith the people crossed the Red Sea as on dry land. Hebrews 11:29. The miracle did not happen while they stood debating on the shore. It happened while they moved. I did not open the way to persuade them to obey. I opened the way because they obeyed. The sea did not part to make obedience easy. It parted because obedience was given. Think about what that required of them, my beloved. They walked toward the water while their hearts were pounding. They walked while the enemy was still charging behind them, and the impossibility was still stretched out in front of them. They did not have proof that the water would move. They had a word, and they had a choice. And they chose to move on the word alone. That is the kind of faith I respond to, my child. Not the faith that waits on the shore for the miracle to appear and then agrees to walk. The faith that steps into the water first. Many of you have been standing on the shore of your own sea for years, asking me to part the water before you will move, while I have been asking you to move so the water can part. The reassurance you have been waiting for is on the other side of the obedience, not before it. The step itself becomes the confirmation. The movement itself becomes the proof. Action came before the manifestation. You are standing at your Red Sea right now, my child. The thing you have been praying for is on the other side of the obedience you have been avoiding. I am not asking you to see the whole path. I am asking you to take the first step, and when you step, the waters will part. Type, I take the step before the water parts. Remember the rod in Moses' hand. It seemed ordinary, just a piece of wood, a shepherd's tool, nothing special. But when he lifted it in obedience, it parted seas and brought water from rock. What is in your hand may seem small, my beloved. It may seem ordinary, insufficient, not enough to matter, but obedience is what makes it powerful. Provision follows obedience. Resources follow motion. Favor follows faithfulness. I do not fund a vision you refuse to step into. I do not send help to a door no one will walk toward. But the moment you move, everything you needed begins to move toward you. Type, I receive what obedience unlocks. Let me tell you about two more of my children, my beloved, because their stories are two sides of the same truth, and you need to see both. The first one heard me say, end that relationship. It is not aligned with where I am taking you. But this child said, I will stay and try to fix it. I will pray harder. I will believe for change. I will wait a little longer. My child, and 2 years passed, then 3, then 5. By the 5th year they had built an entire life with someone I never joined them to. A home, shared finances, deep entanglement, and now leaving was not merely difficult, it was devastating. What could have been a clean and simple obedience in the first year had become a catastrophic upheaval by the 5th. I was not punishing them across those 5 years, my child. I was trying to protect them, but they interpreted my instruction as cruelty and chose their own wisdom instead. And the price of that delay was years of avoidable pain. Delayed obedience did not soften the cost. It multiplied it. The second child heard me say, begin the thing I placed in your heart. You have prepared long enough. It is time, my child. But this one said, I am not ready. I do not have the knowledge, the team, the funding, the platform, and when all of that comes together, then I will start. And years passed while they waited for perfect conditions that were never going to arrive on their own. One day I spoke again and asked, How many people who needed what I placed in you will keep suffering without it while you wait for a readiness I never required? Start with what is already in your hand, and I will provide the rest as you move, my beloved. And finally this child obeyed. They began small. One message, one gathering. No spotlight, no perfection, only obedience. And within months the platform grew, the people appeared, the provision flowed. But none of it came while they waited. All of it came after they moved. Do you see the difference, my beloved? One obeyed and unlocked the breakthrough in weeks. Another delayed and multiplied the suffering for years. Same voice, same kind of instruction, different response, and therefore a different life. That is why now matters. That is why today matters. Now hear the hope, my child, and it is closer than you think. You are not far from your breakthrough. You are not miles from clarity. You are not years from movement. You are standing at the very edge of change. What separates you from what I am about to do is not time. It is response. You are one decision away, not 100 decisions, not decades of striving. One clear, deliberate act of agreement with me. Heaven often waits on a single moment of alignment to release what has already been prepared. I know how heavy the whole road has looked to you, my child, as though your breakthrough were 100 miles and 1,000 steps away. But that is the enemy's math, not mine. In my kingdom, the distance between where you are and where I am taking you is not measured in years. It is measured in obedience. A single yes can collapse a distance that fear told you would take a decade. You have been bracing for a long war when what stands in front of you is a single door, and behind that door is everything you have been asking me for. Do not let the size of your longing convince you that the step must also be enormous. The longing is large, my beloved. The step is small. It is the smallness of it that has offended you, because you kept waiting for something dramatic when I was only ever asking for something honest. One act of obedience can shift an entire season. One step of faith can interrupt a long pattern of delay. One surrender can pull scattered pieces back into order. I specialize in decisive moments, my beloved, not in prolonged hesitation. And when you move, I move. Your movement tells heaven, I believe God enough to step before I see. And I respond to that motion quickly, because grace meets you at the point of surrender. When you act, I accelerate. What felt slow begins to move. What felt locked begins to open. What felt permanent begins to shift. That acceleration is not random, my child. It follows alignment. Heaven moves swiftly the moment the heart is finally positioned right. So watch what I do when you take the step you have been avoiding. Watch doors open that you never knocked on. Watch people appear that you never reached out to. Watch provision flow from places you never expected. Watch mountains move that you were certain were permanent, and chains break that you thought could never break. Because I am not slow, my beloved. I am strategic, and the instant your obedience completes the alignment, I move at the speed of my own will, and I want you to know exactly what that step is, so you cannot say you did not understand. Go back to the last clear thing I told you. Not the thing you wish I had said, not the thing you hope I said. The thing I actually said, the instruction you have been negotiating with. My child, your spirit has been bearing witness this entire message. That uncomfortable stirring you feel right now is my spirit, highlighting the very thing I am waiting on. If I told you to forgive, release them today, even if they never apologize, even if they do not deserve it, because I require it, and because you deserve to be free. If I told you to let go of something, let go of it today, not after one more conversation, not next week. If I told you to begin something, begin it today, imperfectly, obediently, with what is already in your hand. If I told you to leave something, set the boundary today and stop negotiating with clarity I already gave you. If I told you to speak, make the call today, schedule the meeting, write the letter, and stop hiding behind comfort when I called you to courage. Do not wait for the fear to leave first, my beloved. The fear may not leave until after you have obeyed. Take the concrete step while your hands are still unsteady. Write the name on the paper and release them out loud. Send the message you have been drafting in your heart for months. Give the notice. Set the boundary. Cancel the thing that was never mine. Open the empty page and write the first sentence. The step does not have to be large, and it does not have to be perfect. It only has to be real, and it only has to be today. Because obedience that is scheduled for tomorrow has a way of never arriving. And I am not asking you for tomorrow. I am asking you for now. These are not dramatic actions, my beloved, but they are decisive ones. And decision is what breaks delay. Movement breaks stagnation. Obedience breaks resistance. You do not need more prayer about the thing I already made clear. You do not need more confirmation about the thing my Spirit already confirmed inside you. You need one act, beloved. And when you take it, you will stop measuring your life by the delay and start watching me turn what took years into something that moves in weeks. I do not want you to leave this moment and set it down like every other message that stirred you and then faded. I want you to leave this moment and act, because a stirred heart that does not move simply hardens again, and I have brought you too far to let you harden now. Hear a warning now, spoken in love, because I want you protected. In the coming days, you will try to reason your way out of this. My beloved, you will tell yourself that maybe you misunderstood, that it would be wiser to wait for a clearer sign. When that voice rises, and it will, do not be afraid of it. And do not argue with it. Only know its real name. That is not wisdom, my child. It is hesitation wearing the costume of wisdom. The sign already happened. You cannot unsee what you have seen, and you cannot unknow what has settled into your spirit today. You have already asked me for more clarity than most people ever receive, my child. And I have already answered. The reason another sign has not come is that I do not repeat myself to a heart that has not yet acted on the last thing I said. I am not being withholding. I am being consistent. When you honor the word I already gave, the next word comes easily, because I speak most freely to the ones who obey what they have already heard. My child, so do not wait by the window for a new instruction to arrive. The instruction is already in your hands. It has been there for a while, and the moment you move on it, you will feel the fog you have been living in begin to lift. Because clarity in my kingdom is very often the reward of obedience, not the requirement before it. Pretending used to feel like a safe room you could rest in. Now it feels like clothing that no longer fits, because your spirit already knows it is time to move. And hear me on this, my child, because it will free you. You are not required to keep every promise you made when you were afraid, or overwhelmed, or running on empty. You are allowed to revise a yes you gave from fear. That is not disloyalty, it is responsibility. I placed your time in your own hands and asked you to treat it as something sacred, not something to spend carelessly on commitments that were never mine to begin with. My child, and when the familiar tension returns, the tightness in your shoulders, the clench in your jaw, the bracing you have carried so long you no longer notice it. Pause and place your hand there and let your breath slow and tell yourself the truth. It is safe now. The body remembers old emergencies even after the danger has passed, and your body has been living in an emergency that is already over. You do not have to become someone else to carry this season well, my beloved. Keep your tenderness. Keep the way you notice the person no one else sees. Those are not distractions from your calling. They are the very things I shaped you to use. I am not asking you to become harder. I am asking you to become obedient. And there is nothing harsh in it, only freedom. Someone you know is circling their own mountain right now. My beloved, waiting for a clarity I have already given them, negotiating with a step they are afraid to take. Sow a seed in their name as you cross your own threshold, and let it be an agreement that says, the God who is moving me is moving them too. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen. Let your open hand testify for a soul who has not yet opened theirs, because you did not skip this message, my child, because you stayed while it named the exact thing you have been avoiding, and did not walk away when it became uncomfortable. What was sealed for this hour has been opened for you, so follow and subscribe and stay close, because the confirmation of everything I am speaking will come in the days right after this, and I do not want you standing alone when it does. Type, I am one yes away from my breakthrough, for it is written, behold, now is the favorable time. Behold, now is the day of salvation too. Corinthians 6:2, not later, my beloved, not eventually, now. And for it is written, God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1-7. The fear you feel at the edge of this step is not evidence that you are failing. It is proof that you are standing at the threshold of transformation, because fear rises loudest when change is closest. But I did not call you to safety. I called you to faith. For it is written, we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. Sight demands the evidence first. Faith obeys because I have spoken, and I respond quickly to motion that comes from faith rather than from fear. So let me tell you what I am ready to release the moment your obedience completes the alignment, my child. Because I want you to step with expectation and not with dread. To the one who has been waiting for a breakthrough in their work, the doors are prepared, and the connections you could not manufacture are ready to be aligned the instant you move. To the one who has been waiting for freedom from a tie that was poisoning them, the severing is prepared, and the healthy thing I have for you cannot arrive until the wrong thing is released. To the one who has been waiting on provision, it is not far, and it has been held not as punishment, but as protection, waiting for hands finally open enough to steward it well. To the one who has been waiting on healing, on restoration, on the return of strength, I have not looked away from your body or your weariness for a single day. None of it is theoretical, my beloved. All of it is prepared, and all of it has been waiting on the same thing, the one step you already know I asked you to take. I am not the one who has been delaying. I have been ready this whole time. I have only been waiting for you. So let me settle the fear you are carrying about failing, my beloved, before you take the step, because that fear has kept many of my children frozen at the threshold. You are afraid that if you obey and move, it might still fall apart, and then you will have risked and lost. But I did not choose you in a hurry. I watched you over years. My beloved, I saw the small acts no one applauded, the moments you chose restraint over retaliation, the quiet decisions to do the right thing when it would have been easier not to. You called those moments insignificant. I called them evidence. This assignment fits the exact shoulders that learn to carry both responsibility and sorrow at the same time, and those shoulders are yours. You are not stepping into this untested. You are stepping into it as someone I have been preparing in secret for precisely this. You cannot fail at obedience, my child. Obedience is not measured by the outcome you can see. It is measured by the yes you give. The outcome is mine to carry. The step is yours, and I have never once failed to meet the step of a child who moved because I spoke. So do not carry the weight of the whole outcome to the edge of this decision, my beloved. You were never asked to guarantee the result. You were only ever asked to give the yes. A farmer does not make the seed grow. He only puts it in the ground, and the growing belongs to a power beyond him. Your obedience is the planting. The harvest is mine to bring. So stop standing at the edge trying to see the entire field before you will drop a single seed. Put the seed in the ground today, and let me be the one who wakes it. You are not responsible for making the mountain move. You are responsible for speaking to it in faith. You are not responsible for parting the water. You are responsible for stepping toward it. Do the part that is yours, my child, and I promise you, on my own unchanging name, I will not fail to do the part that is mine. So now, my child, do not only feel this, seal it. Place your hand over your heart and declare this with me, out loud, as someone who has finally decided to move. I will not delay what God has already made clear to me. I release what I have been holding. I forgive what I have been guarding. I let go of what I was told to release. My child, I take the step before I see the outcome. My breakthrough is not far from me. It is one obedience away. Fear is not my ruler. Hesitation is not my guide. I trust the God who spoke, more than I trust the comfort of standing still. I say yes today, I move today, I obey today, and I trust you to meet my step with your power. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let those words settle all the way down, my beloved, because the moment you truly mean them, the lock falls off. And if this word has reached the exact place you have been avoiding, sow one final seed. In the name of the person who is on your heart right now, the one you know this message was truly meant for. Visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. Let it be your open hand agreeing with the door heaven is already prepared to open. And know this, my child, what I am about to do will come suddenly, and you were made to be standing in it. You are not stuck because I forgot you, my beloved. You are paused because a step is required, and the step is finally being taken. When you move, I move, and the help you have been crying out for will not trickle in. It will rush in like a flood. Hear the truth that has been underneath this entire message, my beloved. Obedience is the doorway, and alignment is the key. And when you finally step through, you will look back and see that heaven was never refusing you. Heaven was waiting for you. All this time you thought a door was being held shut against you, and it was only ever waiting to be opened by the one hand that could open it, which was yours, moved by my word. Beloved, I have positioned everything already. The breakthrough is prepared. The door is ready. The provision is set. The healing is near. The connection is aligned. All that remains, the only thing that has ever remained, is your yes, my beloved. So I am asking you the question I have been leading you toward from the first word. Will you give it today? Will you move today? Will you obey today? Because the moment you do, I will respond, and the season that felt like it would never turn will turn in an instant. It is finally your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the conditions are perfect. Now go and do what I told you to do, and watch me do what only I can do. Type I say yes today.